Hi. So, introduce myself. My name is Ken. I have a full-time job. Basically, this is my first YouTube video. Just trying to help some people out with some stuff. So my first video is going to be my first week at Grubhub. I just finished it. So I'm just going to go over some general things that I figured out to try to help everybody else out, or people that are starting to drive, especially in the St. Paul, Minneapolis market. So my first week wasn't bad. My first day, I literally took one delivery. It took me about 5 minutes. I got the guarantee. So I got paid for 2 hours, so 26 bucks basically for taking one delivery. Second day, I did a lot more work. I had a lot more running around. And today was my third day. Just for my first week, I just did 3 smaller shifts, and I did a lot of running around. So here's just kind of a general recap and things that you should probably know when you're starting to drive for Grubhub. First thing is, bring something along for if you're bored. I have an iPad and an extra mount in my car for my iPad so I can sit and watch Amazon. I tested it out, and you can actually use your iPad for Grubhub if you would rather do that, and then use your phone, to do your Facebooking or whatever it may be. The only downside is that the iPad doesn't have any way of calling the customer, so you're still going to have to end up using your phone. So that is a little annoying, so I just started using my phone and saying screw it. The downside to using your phone is if you get a phone call, you go offline. And if you're GPSing a location for a customer and you get on your phone, your GPS is probably more than likely going to come through on your headset while you're driving, which is really annoying. And then Grubhub disconnects also while you're talking on the phone. So it's not really going to super affect you, but it's a little annoying. So I'm looking for a way around that currently. I went for my onboarding session like 2 weeks ago. I really had a hard time getting into Grubhub. I kind of got stuck on, like, in limbo, where they ran all my stuff, did all my paperwork, but didn't actually, like, set me up with anything so that I could start driving. So I had to make a bunch of phone calls and do a bunch of crap and jump through a bunch of hoops in order to be able to do it. It took me a long time, but finally I got to my onboarding session. They offered for me to, if I wore a shirt and a hat, to take their hot bag, but I previously had tried Postmates, so I already had a bag, and I don't really want to wear Grubhub gear because it's kind of, I don't know. I'm a salaried manager, and I only advertise for one company when it comes to my uniform, and that's it. And this is literally just kind of for fun and to start a YouTube channel and do my thing. So I opted out of the uniform and the hot bag, and I just used my hot bag that I got from Postmates for free. And I haven't got an order bigger than what that bag holds. The only thing that I'm trying to figure out is a good way of carrying beverages. So yeah, either way, bring something to keep yourself busy in case you don't have any deliveries. I noticed that my first shift was actually on Tuesday of this week, and I only got the one, so I sat there for 2 hours pretty much just watching Amazon. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Second, kind of major thing is in the St. Paul, Minneapolis market. I'm in St. Paul. They actually break it down into two. They are going to just flip-flop you all over hell and back if you want to get that guarantee. Today, I went from Roseville to West St. Paul to East St. Paul. I started in Roseville. That's where I was just sitting. I went to West St. Paul to pick up the order, and then they sent me to East St. Paul to drop it off. But you only get paid from West St. Paul to East St. Paul. So basically, I drove 20 minutes out of my way that I wasn't getting paid for. And if you want the guarantee, you have to take, 90% of the orders in order to get your $13 an hour guarantee. So I don't even look anymore. I just accept it because at this point, I'm only really trying to get the $13 an hour. If I got more than that, it'd be great. But that in itself is, I'm pretty much doing this for car parts and for fun. So 13 works for me. Downside is you're not really going to make more than $13 an hour. Either way, we'll just keep moving on. So my second day, I went to the same parking lot. I always sit in the same parking lot when I first start in Roseville, and that was when I got my first few actual like run of deliveries. That's pretty fun. I took 4 deliveries. I was on for 3 hours, but they did kind of toss me all over the place. So I was in Roseville, picked up at Big Bull in Roseville, drove to the other side of the east side of St. Paul basically to drop that off. Then they sent me down along the river, almost Highland neighborhood, to go pick stuff up from a bar and grill, and then to downtown St. Paul to drop that off. My second day, one thing that I will say is none of the orders were ready when I got to the shop. None of them were confirmed. So I haven't actually started doing it yet, but I think I'm going to start calling the restaurant before I leave to ensure the fact that they have the food ready when I get there, because it definitely has affected the amount of money that I've been able to make. Yeah, great, I'm making $13 an hour for sure, but when it takes me 20 minutes to drive to the actual place that I'm getting the food from, and then another 20 minutes to wait for the food, and then another 20 minutes to go drop it off, I mean, you're already in an hour right there, and you could have taken a whole nother delivery probably, or a half a delivery in that amount of time. So if you really do want to make more than $13 an hour, it'd probably be a good decision to actually call the restaurant and just confirm that they do have the order and they are making it for Grubhub. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, parking hasn't really been an issue. I haven't gone to downtown St. Paul very much. I've driven through it, but I haven't had to actually stop in it. So far, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I'm not unhappy with it. I'm only doing it part-time, though. I couldn't imagine doing an 8-hour shift of them throwing you back and forth across the metro area or the St. Paul area. It would get a little bit annoying in order to get the guarantee of $13 an hour. They have sent me to some pretty shady neighborhoods, which wasn't really cool, because the whole reason I'm doing this is to get parts for my car, and I love my car. And in those neighborhoods is where people like to steal the exact type of car that I have. So it's hard to get out and walk away from it. Haven't had anybody actually mess with it or mess with me as of yet, but just saying. Today was a little bit different. We had torrential rain, and I actually had to turn down the last delivery. So I did 3, and the last one I ended up having to reassign in the middle of it. And the downside about that is I don't get my $13 an hour guarantee, even though it was technically 2 o'clock is when they sent it to me, and I didn't have the option to reject it. Even it was right at 2 o'clock. So I took it, and it started torrential raining. I couldn't see anything. I was going to be really, really, really late. So I opted to have them reassign the order, and I guess that screwed me out of my guarantee. So even if you're going to be late, I would take the order, because it's going to ensure that you're going to get your $13 an hour guarantee. I think that's pretty much it for right now. Wasn't a bad week. I worked a total of 8 hours. I made about $90, so a little over $10 an hour. It's not the guarantee that I was hoping for, and that's just because today I lost $20 pretty much off of that guarantee. So accept all the orders they give you. I would assume you have to kind of go into this having some sort of an idea of the way that you want to play it. Like me, I'm happy just getting the $13 an hour and doing the least amount of work humanly possible. So I'll go sit in Roseville, and if they send me on 2 deliveries and I sit around for 3 hours watching Netflix in my car, I would have just sat and watched 3 hours of Netflix at home anyways, so it really doesn't make a difference. But if you're out there to really try to hit like the more money, 18 and 19, which people do in other markets, I haven't seen a lot of other Grubhub drivers in my market, but if you're trying for that, then maybe worrying about the guarantee, I wouldn't worry about it too much, and I would skip the orders that are a long drive and only take the ones that are close to you. If you're in the St. Paul market, I'm going to say hanging out anywhere around University is pretty much the mid area of everything. So basically, you're going to be the closest to everything if you're right off of University. Roseville and the northern suburbs of St. Paul, I have not gotten barely anything. I haven't gone to Maplewood. I haven't gone to, like White Bear Lake or that area, I guess you would say, right up where the boundaries go. I haven't even really gone to the East St. Paul area that much. I've spent most of my time on the east side in the ghetto, which is fine. That's where I grew up. But off of, Maryland and Payne and down in that area. Otherwise, it's been everything off University, right off University. Grand Avenue, that whole thing. That whole, like, the Grand Summit Highland area is pretty much popping. But a lot of the restaurants are right off of University. So, I'll post another video the longer that I do this. I hope that it's helpful. Like this if it's useful to you. Otherwise, just go on your way, have a good time, and yeah, bye.